thinning hair in women, why and what to do about it. I'm Andrea Schneider, 9-year breast cancer survivor and thriver and health and fitness expert, and I'm with my good friend Karen. Karen, please introduce yourself.
Hey, Andrea. I am a holistic nutritionist as well as a trainer of the Healthy Gut Advisors program to network marketing professional, health coaches, and other health professionals. Back at
Very,
you.
very good, very good. So today we're going to talk a little bit about thinning hair in women. So I left my hair down today because normally I'm running on the day we make this video and I pull it up and, I have a lot of hair, but it's fine. It's thinner, and I notice over time, a lot of women, they start thinning, like especially in here, they start losing some hair. What do you think about that, Karen? What's going on?
Yeah, well, hair growth is about a half an inch each month with excuse me, with the scalp. As long as the scalp is healthy, there will be about 100,000 hairs on our head, give or take, a couple 20. And then we lose about 45 to 50 hairs every day. So if you're starting to see patches and that kind of thing, well, then we want to look at, illness, stress, as well as age, and then look at the underlying causes as to why that's happening to you.
Yeah, and one of the things, we decided to talk about this today, and I know the other day I was on one of my Facebook groups for breast cancer ladies, and there was a question about, do you think that you lose hair after anesthesia? And I remember during my different operations and under anesthesia, thinking afterwards, like I'd take a shower and I'd kind of go through my hair and not clumps, but, kind of clumps, small clumps would kind of fall out. And I would think, wow, why is this? And it just seemed too much of a coincidence that after various surgeries that I had, it looked like to me like I was losing more hair. And so in talking to other people who've had surgeries, they seem to indicate the same thing. And I know in maybe medical literature and journals and things like they don't necessarily say that's a side effect of anesthesia, although I think those who've had surgeries maybe could attest to that. Have you ever heard of anyone saying that to you, Karen?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The same if you've had any type of abdominal surgery, bowel resection, anything like that. And, if you think back to just traditional Chinese medicine, hair health is viewed as a sign of kidney, liver, and blood health. So, again, it comes down to looking at the underlying cause, right? Which would be how well digestion is working. And we'll get to that in a moment. But I mentioned earlier, you have to look at illness as well as stress. When you have any type of surgery, including anesthetics, that's a huge stress on the body. And so if we're kind of like a lizard, we'll lose parts that we don't need to provide nutrients to in order to help the body repair. So hair essentially is dead cells, and so we don't need to nourish those dead cells, and so we'll just let it go because of the whole stress factor of what we've been under. So yeah, and not to mention chemotherapy is right. Did you
Right.
lose, did you do
No,
chemotherapy?
I didn't do chemo. I had a double mastectomy, but no chemo or radiation or no drugs. I don't take any drugs, no medication.
So what about, so you had lots of surgeries. Did you find
Right.
that your hair thinned?
It thinned a little, the texture changed a little bit, and I would just lose more than I had ever noticed before, especially like for months after the surgeries. And so, like you said, probably a combination of the stress, because for me, I like have a major fear of anesthesia and surgery. And so
Mhm.
the stress of it, and, sometimes, especially in the beginning, 9 years ago, not necessarily knowing the outcome, that's a very stressful time. And then the anesthesia itself, and I think you and I have talked about that, it could take months and months for the actual anesthesia to process out of your body those, foreign things that are kind of toxins going in your body. So living healthier lifestyles and kind of trying to detox yourself from some of these chemicals certainly helps. So we talked about some of the why women might be thinning their hair or losing their hair. So, and of course, there's illnesses that that would be a side effect as well. But kind of looking at the root cause. Is it the stress? Is it the illness? Is it that you had anesthesia? You had surgery? Like, what is the reason? I mean, we really shouldn't see women like with bald spots or real thin like in here, right? I mean, that wouldn't be something
Yeah.
we should be seeing normally.
No, absolutely. And so when we look at the stress, we look at the anesthesia, we look at surgery, even alopecia, we have to look at what's causing that. And so that's going to be that underlying condition. And, from what I teach, when I'm teaching health professionals, I say that you have to start looking at gut health. And so I really believe that it comes down to two things. It's producing hydrochloric acid, so digestion, and then our diet. And so, and going back to the Chinese medicine, saying that this is related to kidney, blood, and liver health. It really comes down to the amount of hydrochloric acid, how well those detoxification pathways, so your liver, your gallbladder, and your urinary tract systems are able to eliminate those daily toxins. Because like you said, Andrea, those anesthetics are coming into our system and they can stick around for a long time, especially, and they're toxic. And so if our liver cannot break them down and get them out of the body, then they're going to get stored. And so what nutrients do we need for that, right?
Right. So those are kind of some of the whys these might happen. So then, and you started covering, so what to do about it. So we want to live a healthy lifestyle. We want to detox our bodies. We want to be as clean as we can. And I know you and I have talked about this in various videos. So if we have regular viewers, they've heard some of this before, of things that they can be doing on a regular basis. And it's like anything else in life, it's the consistency of doing something. You don't just do it one time and expect, I never have to do this again. Like you can't just go to the gym, work out once, and you're in the best shape of your life. So same thing with getting kind of to the root cause of what's causing these and doing healthier things. Like a lot of us know some of the healthier things to do, but are we actually doing them? Are we implementing them? And are we doing them on a consistent basis? So what would be a few of things, and why don't you throw out a few things, then I'll add it some more of what people can be doing to, for their overall health and especially for their hair health.
Sure. I really think it comes back to breathing and chewing our food. First, we have to take those 3 breaths, and then we need to start chewing our food. And the reason is that when you chew, you have enzymes in your mouth. It's going to start breaking stuff down, but it also sends triggers to the stomach to start producing hydrochloric acid. And when it comes to hydrochloric acid, as long as we have really good hydrochloric acid and we have a good acidity in there, that's going to release the enzyme pepsin, which is then going to break down our proteins, and it's also going to break down our iron as well. And I'll get to that in a moment. So the second part was the diet. So we need to have a high-fat diet, and we'll talk about this in a moment. We need to have a high-fiber diet, and we also need to be eating organic types of fruits and vegetables and whole foods, and avoiding the genetically modified organisms as well. And so we also have to make sure we're getting really good protein. So not just animal protein, but plant sources as well. And then I'll let you get back to what you're going to say, Andrea, and then I'll get back to why that's so important.
So a comment about what you said, like more fat or good fat. So it's not just having crappy fat, though, having good quality. So we want a really good balance of good fats, good proteins, and good carbohydrates into our body. And that's if we think of our body as a really finely tuned machine, we want to make sure that we provided the fuel that it needs. So if you have a car, and I'm going to say it with my Chicago accent, and I've been away from Chicago, I go back to visit, but I guess I still have a little bit of that Midwest accent. A lady I was talking to yesterday caught up on it. So anyway, I'm going to say the word because sometimes I say vehicle instead. But car, if you have a car, you don't put water into your tank. You put fuel, you put gas. Same thing with your body. So common sense, we want to put the best fuel we can put into our amazing, amazing machine of a body. And so not just any fat will do, and Karen will talk more about that in a second, but also what about biotin, something that I take that's in one of my really high quality vitamins that I take. And I noticed since I've been taking that, my hair is thicker, better, and my nails are really strong, stronger than ever.
Sure.
What do you think about biotin, Karen?
Yep. Well, just even before I get to that, you said a really good point there about the car, right? So the problem is we don't get to understand how our body works. It just is, and that's how we sort of look at it. But if you look at the structure of hair, it's actually made up of hardened proteins called keratin. And when we're not getting adequate protein, as well as if we have that digestive compromise, so maybe people are on proton pump inhibitors, or they're taking antacids, or they're not chewing, or they're not breathing, or they're not bringing in enough or quality type proteins, then that can cause a problem, because we need the protein to break down into amino acids so that we can help with this keratin production. And amino acids, of course, are an important part of the building block. And so if we don't have good protein, that's going to slow down the growth of hair. It's also going to make it slower, also weaker as well. So protein's one of them. And then, so protein breaks down into amino acids, and two really important amino acids is L-lysine. And L-lysine has been documented to help with certain types of hair loss. And then L-arginine or arginine, it's going to help with hair follicles, because hair follicles rely on nitric oxide, and it's the L-arginine that's going to help make that nitric oxide. And so that's another reason why you have to be eating those quality proteins. And then we've got iron. You know, there's numerous studies that demonstrate the importance of iron supplementation, especially in non-anemic deficient women and hair loss, because we know that when you're anemic, a lot of times, you know, there'll be hair loss, or what you were saying, Andrea, that balding or, you know, patterns in the hair. And what the studies have indicated is that serum ferritin concentrations were a factor in female hair loss. And there's actually been studies that have confirmed finding that increasing this iron helps not only with decreasing shedding, but it also helps with the iron. But you have to have good hydrochloric acid in order for that iron to be broken down. So that's another reason why we need that good hydrochloric acid. And, you know, there's been studies that show that zinc doesn't help with hair growth, but it's not the zinc. It goes back to the L-lysine. The L-lysine plays a role in absorbing iron as well as zinc. And again, we need that good hydrochloric acid. And then you talked about biotin, right?
You're right.
Yeah, so biotin interacts with the cellular enzymes, and it helps produce keratin. So isn't that really interesting how what we eat is what's going to help build up our hair?
So I guess we really are what we eat. And, you know, over the past 9 years, I've learned a lot about health and nutrition. And you can almost sometimes look at people and look at their hair, look at their face, look at their eyes, their complexion, their body type, and kind of see their health and what they're doing or not doing to their body. And you could see, you know, someone who's actually doing a lot of good things and some who not so good. And unfortunately, we live in a society, we know, the standard American diet, the SAD diet, where people just aren't, not our viewers, of course, but other people are just like throwing anything they can into their mouth and not making the connection of what they put into their body actually has an effect on how they feel and how they will feel long term. So
Right.
Karen and I, and in these different videos, we hope to give you at least a couple pointers, a couple things that you could implement, that you could start doing on a regular, consistent basis. So like you had mentioned early on when we were talking today, the chewing more and the breathing. So if you're watching this, you're obviously breathing, and then you're probably chewing at some point. So it's really, though, being more conscious and mindful about how you're breathing. Are you taking deep breaths? Like this morning I was running and I realized I wasn't breathing deep enough, so I had to change that. But in your everyday life, are you breathing enough? Are you bringing in some good, clean air into your lungs? And then are you holding it, and are you exhaling it and releasing some of the toxins? And then the same thing with the chewing. So Karen, how many times are we supposed to chew?
It should be about 25 to 50 times. What we're looking for is either a liquid or a paste, depending on what we're eating.
Right. And I think most of us, and I know me included, I don't always chew my food as good as I should. And if I look at my dog, my husky, she doesn't chew at all. So, you wonder about dogs and animals.
Let's talk about your dog just for a second. Do you ever give your dog, do you ever give him coconut oil or any type of oils?
We've given her a little bit of oil, but not like, it's just been in some things that we've given, but not necessarily just the coconut oil by itself.
Have you noticed that when you give him oils, his hair is like shinier and it's softer?
No, I'll have to pay attention to that. Yeah.
Okay, so go a couple days and, just feel how he is now, and then start giving him, fish oils. You can actually use
girls, so they would have to change from female to male. If you're saying him, it's a girl.
Oh, is it a girl? Oh, I'm sorry.
Girl.
I thought it was I don't know why I thought it was a him. Girl. I'm sorry. Yeah, so just over the next couple of days, just feel her fur and then start. You can actually give her your company's fish oils. Those are fine to give her, and just start giving them to her. Even if you do it once a day, just,
Mhm.
two once a day, you will notice a difference in her fur right away. My cat's the same thing. I know when they've been into my coconut oil because their hair goes like Angora. And that's because essential fatty acids can also help our hair. It's basically found in the cell membranes, and it's also found in the scalp. And it actually helps to generate those natural oils that's going to help the hair to stay hydrated, and so that it doesn't get dry, brittly, and frizzed out. And
Mhm.
so our animals are the same way. It's really neat.
Yeah, yeah. And so if we see that on them, obviously it works for us as well. And actually, my big husky, she's been limping a little, her back leg, and I'll have to ask our vet friend about that, Dr. Harris, that we've made some videos with, what to do with that. And I know she's young; she's only 2, so I'm a little concerned about that. And one of my older dogs, I actually gave her one of my products that I take, and it has turmeric in it. And that had helped the older dog. So I'm thinking I'm going to start with the younger dog. And now I still take my vitamins that have turmeric, but I've been using fresh turmeric for myself, like
The
topically
root.
on my foot, the root itself on my foot itself. I'm still healing my plantar fasciitis. But then I've actually been eating it too in my salad, and that is tangy, just a little tiny piece. And
Zing!
it almost, right. What did you just say? Did you say zing?
Zing!
Yeah, I didn't know if I was like the only one who felt that. Like as soon as I eat it, I'm kind of like, whoa, like a little burst of energy almost. It's organic, it's fresh, it's the root itself. And if you want a little energy blast, have some fresh turmeric and slice it thin and throw it in your salad or eat it. But have you felt that way when you've taken it, Karen?
Oh yeah, it's a natural anti-inflammatory, and just going back to I mean, you can give her the turmeric root as well. And the fish oils are also a natural anti-inflammatory, so that would definitely help too. And
Right.
think about it. If it's the leg, are the joints? How are her joints? Is she getting enough lubrication?
Right. And so that's the same thing with all of us. Like you got to fine tune. Like sometimes you have pain and you say, oh, I'm going to back off or I'm not going to do something. But the reality is sometimes the less you do, then you're not lubricating your joints, you or your animal. And then you get worse and worse. And that's where we see people take kind of that downward spiral. So I would suggest, even if you're not feeling great, still push yourself. So you're moving, you're getting more energy because you move and you push your body. There was something I saw the other day. I forgot where I saw it, but I do a lot of reading on breast cancer because that stands out to me. And there was something that said women who sit more than 3 hours a day or so, like because of their job or something, are more likely to get breast cancer. And it didn't necessarily give the reason, but I can tell you the reasons because they're probably not exercising as much, they're not moving as much, they're more sedentary. And then the natural byproduct of that is probably they're a little bit heavier and they're storing more fat, and fat itself for some women will store more estrogen, which then more estrogen can stimulate breast cancer for some. So it all kind of ties together. We want to do the best we can. And being the best you, and I have a whole online course called The Best You. And we talk about mood, eating, exercise, stress, sleep, and overall health, the various components that I feel and many feel get you to be the best you, health wise, mentally, and physically. So, Karen, let's wrap up here a little bit. So, maybe just a few more kind of wrapping it up, what people could take away and what they can do to start getting their better hair and overall health.
Yeah, so just going back, we talked about stress and that kind of thing, but if this is a problem for you, look to potentially have your thyroid checked if you've just recently become vegan or vegetarian, only because they decrease their animal protein, so the amino acids go down, but also they increase their soy, and there's some problems with too much, phytoestrogen in the body and how that can affect. And then you talked about movement as well. So when we move, that circulates the scalp, which then keeps the hair follicles and shafts healthy. So I think that that's just what it really comes down to is, work on getting your digestion to work ultimately so that you can absorb the really good foods that you're bringing into your body so that you can fuel your body to work properly.
Right. I think that makes perfect sense. And then, of course, drinking a lot of water. So The rule of thumb being like whatever your weight is, say you weigh 200 pounds, you divide that in half. So 100 ounces of water roughly per day is what you would drink. So that's about 12 glasses, 12 8-ounce glasses. So that would be a lot of water, but that's really, if you're 200 pounds, that's about what you should be drinking. So we want real water, and preferably in a glass bottle. And so want to get rid of the toxins, want to flush them out, want to take in less toxins, want to put good nutrients in your body, get to your ideal weight, be moving, all common sense type things that we all know, but are we doing them? And then maybe adding some biotin, the fatty fish oils, things like that. So you'll get better hair, you'll have overall better health. Anything else, Karen?
Digestive enzymes and hydrochloric acid.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe
Definitely.
some probiotics as well. So contact me or Karen. We can hook you up and get you all taken care of and give you some great pointers. And if you need some products, we can recommend a few as well. So again, I'm Andrea Schneider, 9-year breast cancer survivor and thriver, founder of the Best You online course, and I'm here to help you be the best you. Karen, where can they find you?
Healthygutadvisor.com. Just go there and sign up.
Yeah, so you can find me the Best You, and we will have the links down below of our websites where you can connect with us, and we're also both on Facebook. So thank you so much for viewing. If you have some questions or pointers about hair loss or what you've been doing, what you think caused your hair to thin or lose more, or what you've been doing to get it back, then post those down below in the comments. We'd love to hear your feedback. So, okay, thank you so much for being with us here today, and we will see you again soon. Bye, Karen.
Bye, Andrea.